Hey everybody, welcome. It's 7:13, a little bit later than I intended, but it's my honor to introduce my new friend Hayden Long. How you doing, Hayden?
I'm good, Zenny. Thank you for having me.
To introduce my new friend Hayden Long. How you doing, Hayden?
I'm good, Zenny. Thank you for having me.
And that happens whenever I have the YouTube video page still open. Stuff happens, but hey, happy to have you here. So nice I had to say it twice, so I did algorithmically. Um, and as befits your hat, you're a graduate of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yes, sir. Roll Tide. Graduated in May of 2021, and blessed to spend a lot of time there. Spent a little bit of time around the athletic program, specifically men's basketball. But it was a wonderful experience. I learned a little bit. I had the opportunity to hear Coach Saban speak a couple of times, and I'm really excited to talk about him and some of the stances that he has on collegiate athletics today.
Oh, and happy to hear that and talk about that in NIL. And before I go there, I have to say a hearty go Bears, as befits the fact that I got my master's degree at the University of California at Berkeley and was on the alumni board for a total of 6 years. Wonderful years. At any rate, this is about NIL and also you. And I've never been to Alabama, never attended an Alabama game. I'm not saying that proudly. I'm saying that wistfully. I'd love to go to an Alabama Crimson Tide game and take in the atmosphere. However, I did have the opportunity once briefly to interview Coach Saban, and a big fan of what he's done. So we're talking about name, image, and likeness in this text, and the idea now, the process that athletes, as far as in high school, are already being compensated by sponsors for the use of their name, image, and likeness to the tune of, on average, $3,200 per college year, but to the point of upwards of many millions of dollars. And Mr. Lowe has personally experienced that at Alabama. And let's talk about Nick Saban's comment where well, you can explain a lot better than I can because that's how we started the conversation. Go for it.
Yeah, so name, image, and likeness is something that was, first of all, long overdue. I think everybody is kind of the agreement that these players do deserve to be compensated for many reasons. Their time commitments that kind of prohibit them from being a traditional college student. The amount of money, obviously, that they bring in from the athletic programs, and then also, the wear and tear that it puts on their body, not just mentally, but also physically, obviously. And I'm very glad that these kids are able to make some money, especially for their families. Maybe changing their financial situations. But I think what Coach Saban and some other coaches really have been outspoken about is the lack of a governing body or guidelines, really, so to speak, that allow these players to kind of take advantage of the name, image, and likeness bylaws, which has essentially, I don't want to say killed, but it's degraded the game of college football that we once knew. I grew up watching college football, and there was plenty of bowl games on every week at the end of the season. I mean, there were plenty of games every week that everybody wanted to tune into because it was just a great product by and large. Now you have bowl games where kids are sitting out because of their potential earnings down the road. You have kids who are being paid to leave high school early to go to college and then potentially never even play it at college. They enter the portal at the next year. And one thing that Coach Saban really spoke out about towards the end of his career as a college football coach is he and his wife, Miss Terry, would host recruits for their visits. He would host them personally at his house. So there'd be about 20 to 30 maybe over for a brunch or something like that, along with their families, where they would all meet with the coaches, specifically Coach Saban, individually. And in the past, a lot of these meetings were to go over strategies for the recruitment process. If they were to get that prospect on campus as a commit, we want you to play this position. We want you to take this class as a freshman while you're redshirting. Things of that nature are what typically are discussed in these meetings. But lately, it's just hey, coach, I've got an offer from LSU for X amount, or I've got an offer from Notre Dame for X amount. I've got an offer from this school for this amount. And it's just kind of allowed the kids to really take advantage of the rules and not, delivering us the same quality product that we grew up knowing.
What would you like to see done? I mean, we agree that NIL is good, especially for women athletes who, I mean, male athletes like Reggie Bush at least saw, even if it was under the table, some compensation from alums. But women athletes would dream of such situations by and large. Now it's different for women athletes. So now that we established the good part and you established the bad part, what would you like to see done?
So one thing that I've always kind of thought is a good incentive would be some sort of program to where that money is given to them over time for the longer that they stay in school. If you graduate in 4 years, you get this amount. If you turn pro and then come back to finish your degree, you get this amount. Things of that nature. I'm not certainly the most educated on a topic like this, so I know that there would be some hoops along the way to get through, but just some sort of governance to where like I said, coupled with the transfer portal, there are instances where kids are just using their name, image, and likeness to make some money and then move on to the next place without really committing to the school like they would in the past. One of the real iconic programs in college football is the Miami University Hurricanes. There were teams in the early 2000s that had NFL Hall of Famers who were playing special teams.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not to say that can't happen, and it very well still could, but it's just not as likely because someone who's a third or second string who knows that they have the talent to play at the next level is going to enter the portal, and they're more likely to be entering the portal because they know that they're going to be compensated for their services elsewhere. Now that does, on the other term, create a more level playing field. You have a lot more schools, the talent is a lot more spread out, but who's to say that player would consider leaving the school they originally committed to if there wasn't, an NIL package on the table?
Hey, let me ask also, the way it works basically is the college gives the student the money up front. NIL.
From what I understand.
Right.
From what I understand.
I understand there are variations. Maybe Georgia Tech has a variation that I believe protects them from such jumping around. But I think by and large, yeah, sure. They could come in and maybe get what they would get divided by the number of years they would be there.
Right.
Right. So they, so they're not going to get the whole thing, but if they come and they leave early, it gets cut off at that point. It's cut off. I have to research and see, how that works. I think here, my thought is that as long, and I'm trying to think of I don't see anything legally standing in the way of that idea off the top. Now, I don't hold a law degree, but I did take the LSAT and scored very well, and I made a decision to start my first company rather than go to Bolt. So maybe I should just go ahead and get my law degree at 62. My whole point is somewhere and out there. But my point is that my thought about the restriction of free trade or free dealing comes into mind. But if you sign a contract and you agree to that contract and you agree to hold off the rest of your NIL earnings until you get your diploma, then there shouldn't be anything legally standing in the way of that, because that's a contract, just like a contract currently today between the student athlete and the university regarding scholarships and anything else, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it is a doable process. Having said all that, Having said all that, isn't Alabama seems to be or have figured out a way to deal with the situation, according to Coach Saban himself.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that statement, or am I wrong? Because you're closer to Alabama than I probably ever will be.
No, I think Alabama has done a great job, adapting to the situation. And some of that is I do believe that Greg Byrne, the athletic director at the University of Alabama, is one of the best in the business. And they've also kind of worked pretty hard with the booster program over there to put together I'm not sure, what the official title, what or way to call this group would be, but it's an NIL kind of leadership fund over there at the University of Alabama who, is able to sort of market the players a little bit on their behalf. So it's marketing the university as well as the players. And I think that that's kind of been beneficial to, not only the validity of the NIL deals that have come in towards the University of Alabama athletic program, but also the amount and, just the overall sort of.
I think I found it.
Okay.
Yeah, take a look. Whoops, that's the wrong way to go, Zenny. Come on, find the right way. It's called Yes Alabama.
Yep, there we go.
Score, right, or tied on 2024, and the website. I sound like Bugs Bunny. The website, the website reads Tied on Tour is Orange Beach, April 27th, Huntsville, and Birmingham. The official University of Alabama NIL entity, and you could choose your subscription level, right?
Right, and so I think if you scroll back up a little bit, you'll see some dates and some locations. So that Orange Beach, April 27th, that was obviously not too far in the rear view, but there's a mullet toss at Orange Beach in South Alabama, and Nate Oates, Kalen DeBoer, Jalen Milrow, and Malachi Moore, who are two of the head football coach and head basketball coach, and then two of the captains of the football team, all made an appearance at that event. And, obviously names like that will draw some attention, especially from Alabama fans alike. So just showing up to events like that, marketing events like that, having, people in positions of power or notoriety show up to events like that is really what's driving, I think, the NIL fund, the University of Alabama. And I think that kind of doing stuff like that shows the attempts that athletic director Greg Byrne has put in place to kind of regulate it as best as he can, at least in representing the university.
And let's see what else. This is we have something called California Legends Collective. I just saw.
Okay.
Looks like a lot like what we're talking about. I'll show you what that looks like right now. Here, excuse me, and it is. I should have probably just swapped out the URLs, but what the heck? There. Looks so familiar, doesn't it?
Very.
And this is a thing, folks, as they say today. Our services: enroll as an athlete, contribute as a fan, register as a business. Together, we're creating opportunities. The California Legends Collective empowers collegiate athletes to monetize their years in college sports. We provide athletes with the playbook to make passive income by leveraging their name, image, and likeness, NIL, right with ease and confidence. Our platform uniquely connects collegiate athletes of all levels with a wide range of income opportunities. The California Legends Collective empowers Cal student athletes to monetize their name, image, and likeness while playing for Cal, provides athletes with a playbook to leverage. I just said that. And then it's how it works. Athletes can download the app, create a customized profile, choose the services he or she wants to offer, set their own pricing, and accept or decline offers all from their phone. It's a flexible part-time job without adding to the rigors of being a busy student athlete. Fans can donate to your favorite team, purchase merchandise, or search the web platform mobile app for their favorite athletes and book personalized shout-outs for special occasion greetings for friends or live video chat to ask recruiting questions or get training advice one-on-one in real time. Brands and businesses can search the web platform mobile app for athletes and book an endorsement or contact California Legends Collective for business for expert help in creating a customer campaign with 5 to 500 athletes. Wow. So this is a thing. This is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about what we just found here?
I believe, and that Cal website looks a lot more advanced than the Alabama. And it's
That's
talking
what
about an app.
Yeah.
It's got an app that allows players to kind of seems like create it on their own as they go. And what I was thinking about is obviously Zinni and I were talking about golf a little bit earlier with the PGA tournament going on. And I know that Cal's got at least a great golf history. I'm not sure about their team in the current situation, but think about something like that. You have just two golfers out on the course one day, and all they have is their phone on them. They're able to create some NIL packages right there just while carrying their phone and a 6-iron. So that's something that's really interesting and something that I wasn't aware of. But I'm glad to see everybody sort of adapting and using things to their advantage.
Also, what I think just popped into my head puts on the onus of the athletes to be a good citizen. I mean, you don't want to get caught going to jail or doing anything bad, right, because it will literally wreck your NIL opportunities, right?
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of good that can come from that,
Mm-hmm.
As far as how coaches adjust to it, because just in our comparing schools, we, inadvertently marketed that Cal's better than Alabama. And here comes Cal to the ACC, you know what I mean? In that area. Now, will Cal ever reach the level of Crimson Tide in terms of football? I want to say I'm hopeful. What say you, by the way?
Well,
never.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, insult your team on your own show, but I do believe, Alabama and Georgia and schools like that are kind of a cut above, the rest of the country when it comes to college football. And, it's awesome to see because the South has got a lot of talent, and, they're not afraid to reach outside of that. Schools like Ohio State and Alabama are going out to the West Coast to grab their quarterbacks from Southern California. Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. Georgia's tight end Brock Bowers comes from Northern California, your neck of the woods. Yep. It's great to see that, and I think maybe this is kind of what I was touching on with the spread out talent across the country now.
Yeah,
it's great to see everyone wants to go play everywhere, and they want to be able to have opportunities that, to play in the Rose Bowl, to play in the college football playoff, to play in, special historic stadiums like the Big House, South Bend, Indiana, Bryant-Denny Stadium, Death Valley, these stadiums that have such great historic lore in college football, unfortunately seem to be one of the only things that's left from college football when we, knew it in the 2000s. But it's awesome to see the, parity that there is in college football, especially now at this 12-team playoff coming this year.
I think what I don't like is the breaking up of the conferences and the super conferences, because I grew up enjoying first at a distance and then closer and then, full stop on hand, our rivalry against USC. And the fact that USC would do that song of theirs 32 times a game. 32. Can you see him at 32 times a game? Ugh. All right. I mean, there's a whole culture of us, friends, that formed our friendships around hating USC. Similar for you and Auburn, right?
Right.
Imagine if somebody broke that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or UCLA. I mean, that's horrible. I mean, thank God we have Stanford to continue our hatred for, which is easy because they're regional. But
Oregon and Oregon State.
Oregon, hate Oregon, absolutely hate them with a passion to this day. But we don't get to play them. And we don't get to maintain that. And not only that, it seems unnatural because we're all on the West Coast, right? So why do we have to sacrifice because we had a Pac-12 commissioner that didn't know what he was doing? You know what I mean? What say you about what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, the conference realignment is something that I'm not as excited about. And, some of the issues that aren't truly discussed, everyone's going to talk about the big games that we're not going to be able to see anymore, or, USC traveling to Evanston, Illinois and playing the 11 a.m. kickoff game against Northwestern. That's certainly going to be something that'll be a little strange to turn on in the morning on a Saturday. But, one thing that I heard is how, first of all, some of the students, are going to be, we're going to have Rutgers flying all the way to Spokane, Washington, Seattle, Washington. For softball games on a Tuesday afternoon. How is that going to affect a sport that doesn't bring in the revenue that college football does?
Right.
Right. How is that going to affect, the student athlete who is missing 3 days of class because it's a cross country flight instead of 1 day of class because, it was a flight from Piscataway, New Jersey to Ann Arbor, Michigan, So it's things like that I don't know if that's getting enough attention. Women's sports is something that we had kind of brought up a little bit and seems to kind of really be going by the wayside with a lot of this conference realignment, NIL, all that kind of stuff. But, there's a lot of good and a lot of bad with all of this kind of stuff. And I feel like the bad is kind of getting looked at with not as much attention.
I wholeheartedly agree. I also have to say, though, that in the time I've been down here helping my mom as caregiver, I am shocked at the number of across the board athletes here that are not only at the top of their game, but among the best of the country that don't get their due, particularly women. It never ceases to amaze me. What about that?
Yeah, so women and the state of Georgia is, like I was saying, just crawling with unbelievable athleticism and talent across the country or across the state. But women's sports, is really in the last 5 or so years has really kind of increased its audience. Specifically, I think the most through women's basketball, just because of names like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. South Carolina specifically, like we're talking about the state of Georgia and South Carolina's, rise to fame and greatness over there with Don Staley's program. And, also a little bit of women's softball. There's been a couple great teams come through, specifically Alabama. But it's really great to see, the women get their recognition that they do need, specifically because it's a similar process for the women. When I was working with the Alabama basketball team, it was sharing the facility. So we were seeing them come and go. They're in there just as much as the men were. One team's using the film room while the other team uses the practice facility, and then vice versa. It's just a little bit different in the term of I don't know if the fans kind of have the same appreciation. There may be some teams like your South Carolinas, your UConns, your Iowas, who are having the fans show up every night, but that's not necessarily the same for other schools. Whereas the men, they're going to show up because it's a Saturday college football game, or it's a Wednesday night ESPN college basketball game that's on, Jay Billis on the sideline. It's things like that I feel like the women don't necessarily get the same exposure.
Yeah, speaking of which, and speaking of exposure, I want to show you all something. Sorry for the brief interruption, but you got to see this. This freshman at Georgia Tech, he actually used to work out at our gym. And I heard the name, then I didn't put things together. And then one day I did, and I said, wait a minute. And I actually told her about Lee Steinberg as an NIL person who could help her, right? I just took the I took the risk of saying, hey, by the way, here, my name is blankety blank, and here's da da da. And Lee was appreciative of that. But this person, Michaela Cofield, is, you have to check out this. I don't know if you can see, I'm going to enlarge this play, but it's the velocity by which she throws the ball. I was about to say football. Is just, it's stunning for anybody, but in particular, a freshman woman. And this play, what she's about to do is track down this apparent on the way base hit, and then throw the runner out before she gets there. Here it is. Watch this. This is Michaela Cofield. Watch what she does. She chases down the ball, and then watch. See that? See that, Hayden? Out. Boom. How about that? How about that? That's, that's jaw dropping. That's like, did I just see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see that play before, but that's what I'm getting at. I mean, the athletes and folks, if you're with Georgia Tech or not, go to Georgia Tech's website. I don't even know if they have an NIL portal. They should, but give money to her. Give money to her. She deserves it. It's absolutely amazing. But I'm saying that these folks are all over the place around here. And you do know of any athletes, by the way? Of course you do.
Yeah, I've got a few friends, a couple of guys that I went.
Well, you hate Georgia Tech. Sorry about that, but
no, they have a great athletic program and definitely a great academic program as well. But a couple of guys that I went to high school with or played some college ball